Weight maps are a key component of the Facemaker. Underneath the Facemaker is a large number of clusters. These clusters are defined with many weight maps, and those weight maps are linked to these deformers. Underneath the model there is a property page which is linked to the deformers like so. If we were to have a look at some of the weight maps, here, mouth position in Z. If I were to turn on weight maps inside here, I can see exactly where the weight map is going. I can change the color as well, no problem. So mouth position Z, if I were to open up the Facemaker properties and go to mouth, here position Z, you can see that it's been controlled through a deformer. With the weight map selected, I can still add to this and change the original Facemaker properties simply by changing the weight map, like so. So linking deformers which are being driven by weight maps is a very powerful way to not only do shape modeling but also animation. They're currently all residing inside the modeling construction mode. If I want to move them to animation, I can select them. Selecting them will open up and expand the entire list. Holding down Control doesn't expand the list and allows me to very easily move the entire stack like so. For if I were to freeze this modeling, all of the operators have disappeared except for the taper. So if I want to still use this as animation, I have all of these deform operators which I'm going to move into animation inside here. So each of these weight maps has been defined by a cluster. The cluster can be the entire object. The benefit of defining a cluster of a smaller area is that you know the boundaries. i.e., if I were to select just this mouth here and maybe just make it for the lips, like so, when I create a cluster, and maybe I were to put another deformer on here, say a bulge, like so, I've defined the entire area that that cluster can actually influence. So there's my cluster, and I have a bulge area. Now if I start painting on this, it's getting rid of the weight map. I have to go and select here. I now want to rename this to be mouth, like so. And underneath my object now, I can control this with the bulge op. I have a very little amount on here, but with that selected, I can then paint on here. The reason it's not painting though, even if I were to select here, is because the weight map has not been assigned. There we go, it's just got a mouth. So I applied it directly to a cluster. It's not a problem because I can still apply a weight map based on that cluster. Property, weight map. And I can connect the bulge operator to that weight map, and now I can paint on it. So you don't have to define the weight map first, you can define the cluster first and connect it afterwards. So I've now defined my cluster entirely. Now when I try and paint on any part of the object, I cannot, and therefore I'm restricting myself and perhaps the errors I might make. If I have a weight map like this, which has the entire object, it gives me the flexibility to add and paint additionally to that weight map, covering the entire object. Although sometimes I might make a mistake and paint on there, such as the back of the head, without knowing it. So there's a balance between defining a cluster, which will contain the weight map, and defining the entire object, which is a weight map, and then painting on a small area.